Hi, everybody. We're back for another episode of The Greatest Things Ever Said, where I take something brilliant and profound and unpack it a little bit. And now we're going to go to a philosopher called Seneca. He was a Roman philosopher, one of the Stoics. And he had a great line. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And I think this brilliant line, I think it captures a truth we see everywhere today, really. Much of our own suffering, it doesn't come from the world, really, not directly. It comes from more from our own minds. The human imagination is so powerful. It can create art, relationships, dreams, of course, when we sleep, nightmares. But most of what torments us, you'll find, is not the event itself. It's our anticipation of it. We rehearse failure, we rehearse humiliation, sickness, the foreboding that comes with the thoughts of disaster. We often look for possibilities or eventualities that cause us more anxiety than the realities actually end up causing and perhaps ever could. And Seneca understood that fear multiplies when it's left alone in the imagination. The mind invents worries so vivid that they elicit real emotional and physical responses, actually. Yet, when the actual moment arrives, it's very unlikely to be as overwhelming as the story we've constructed in our heads about it. And I read somewhere once that the vast majority of things we actually think we're worried about, they never actually materialize at all. And even the ones that do, let's be honest, they're usually less anxiety inducing than we thought they'd be, or they're well within our capacity to encounter them and come away stronger and wiser. And of course, we do come away stronger and wiser when we can confront something and conquer it. And Seneca's not telling us to suppress emotion here. Let's be clear about this. He's not saying suppress emotion or ignore the danger or the warning signs of things ahead. His point is not that. It's that we shouldn't suffer more than we need to, basically. We need to meet life on its own terms, not on the terms of these worst case scenarios we construct in our head. And more generally, I think this is actually one of the wisest parts of Stoic philosophy. I mean, Seneca was a Stoic, and it does have its flaws, of course, the philosophy, but it does, I think, get the part right about understanding that the present moment is almost always manageable. When he invites us into he invites us into a life that's not the one that's free from hardship, but I guess free from unnecessary hardship. A life where we don't make ourselves victims of our own imagination. To suffer, if we are going to suffer, and we will suffer, but only suffer what's real. What There's no need to suffer what hasn't happened, and what, in all likelihood, won't happen in the way we fear. That's the great wisdom, I think, from him. From Seneca. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Thank you for watching and listening, and I hope that was helpful. Please do subscribe, and it really helps build up a platform here. And thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.